This is the backstory, and this is before I knew anything about the watch world. I was at a wedding celebrating two of my most favorite friends. Libations were at its ultimate high, and the vibe was perfect. I was sitting next to a new friend I met a few times prior through mutual friends, both of us born in the same year. He's born and raised Flushing, Queens, New York. I'm a Jersey kid that moved to the South in '97. He asked me, "You into watches?" I said, "Yeah, I love watches. My dream is to own a Rolex and call it quits." The silence was abrupt and easy to call out. The disgust on his face looked like Asian moms when their kids bring home C's on their report cards. He couldn't understand the words that were coming out of my mouth. I was a Jackie Chan trying to speak English to a Chris Tucker. There was no rush hour. He wanted to punch me in my face. After several minutes of awkwardly staring at each other, he said, "Have you ever heard of Grand Seiko?" At the time, I knew of Seiko. Everyone who's been to the watch section inside of Macy's has heard of Seiko, but Grand Seiko? I turned to him, I said, "What is Grand Seiko?" The sudden change of his facial expression prompted a shift in the vibe, which was the perfect preface for the events that would immediately take place hereafter. He handed me this thing, and it was at this moment my life changed forever. This is the Grand Seiko SBGA413 Four Seasons Shunbun. Case diameter is 40 millimeters, the lug to lug is 46 millimeters, case height is 13.2 millimeters with the crystal, and the lug width is 21 millimeters. Sitting in that wedding reception staring down at this thing, the first thing that grabbed me was the dial. At that time, I've never seen anything like it. The texture, the three-dimensionality, and how the surface plays with the light and does that color shift thing from white to pink. At the height of my stupefied state, my Flushing, Queens friend, Minnow, said, "Look at the second hand. Look how it glides." And it was at this moment when I became completely mesmerized. I asked how. "How does it do that?" He said, "It's called spring drive. Turn the watch over and look at the movement." The 9R65 movement finishing on the back lit up like lights at a rave. The tiny wheel just kept spinning, furthering my fascination and wonder. The case and bracelet is fully made of titanium. It's light. Feels weird when you first handle it. For example, my SBGA027 is 136 grams with bracelet. The SBGA413 is 94 grams with bracelet, and his wrist is ½ inch larger than mine, meaning he has more links in his bracelet. While wearing the Shunbun, it disappears and becomes unnoticeable. It feels unnatural at first, but after a while, it's nice. The 62GS is my favorite case Grand Seiko has to offer. The symmetry in the lines, the beveling on the case sides, the lack of a bezel, and the way the box crystal sits displaying this beautiful work of art dial. It can be dressed up and dressed down. The case hugs the wrist with the drilled lugs conforming down, and at 40 millimeters is the perfect everyday wearing size for most wrist sizes. The sign crown and case back is screw down. The watch features 100 meters of water resistance. My Flushing, Queens friend wears the Shunbun every day, so the bracelet is absolute dog shit. But I think the bracelet is fine. It's a 3-link oyster style with brushed outer links and a brushed inner link with polished sides. I prefer the bracelet on my SBGA027, and I do wish the Shunbun bracelet started either at 19 millimeters or 20 millimeters at the lugs and tapered down from there. Currently, the Shunbun starts at 21 millimeters and tapers down to 18 millimeters at the clasp. The bracelet is sized with pins, which is The Shunbun bracelet is nowhere near a deal breaker, and the drilled lugs help with changing out the bracelet when needed. And to be honest, I think this watch looks better on a leather strap anyway. This watch isn't on my grail list. If I had money, I'd get the Four Seasons Winter, but that doesn't mean that I don't absolutely adore this watch. It was the Shunbun that kickstarted this whole obsession. It was this watch that started me down the YouTube watch world rabbit hole. It was this watch that was the gateway into fully immersing myself into this hobby. It was this watch where I learned that there is artisanship from a different perspective that exists, and luxury watches can be much more than just a catchy name you say to your friends while engaging in small talk.